Talking the issues and taking the hit. Here they are, the two crazy guys.
And welcome back again. We're going to wrap up the final segment of today's program. And by the way, if you haven't done so yet, log on to www.getthet.com and go check out some of what they have over there. Pretty cool stuff, good people, and we want you to go over and check them out.
Now, they seem to be a real family type business too. I kind of like that from what I've seen on the website and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So before we went to the break, what were we talking about, Mark?
I think we were trying to crawl back out of the rabbit hole. I think we went deep enough. And to me, at least in my opinion, and you might have a differing thought on this, but everything comes back to what we talked about last week, which is our border problem. Yep. Whether it's Venezuela or terrorists from other countries, they're all coming in through our porous border. And the media wants to make it seem like we're haters and racist, but the reality is, if we allow it to go unfixed, the next big wave will be from Venezuela because it's collapsing. And I'm a kind of an isolationist. It's like if Venezuela wants to collapse, let it. Maybe they'll figure it out next time.
Well, and then we during the break we talked a little bit about the elections and 9/11, and now here we are, electing, and I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it, man.
Just say
we're electing the very people that attacked us.
Yeah, and really, and what do they say? Not all Muslims are terrorists, but all terrorists have been Muslims. And it's not profiling. It's just common sense. If you have two apples and you eat one of them, you have one apple left. I'm not picking on oranges. It's just the way it is.
That's right.
And so, we picked an enemy after 9/11. We said it was Muslims and the axis of evil. Why are we electing them? Are we so apathetic that we would just elect them because we should not elect him?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we elected Barack Obama. Why? Because, he was the first black president.
Right. Had nothing to do with issues and policy. In fact, if you listen to the debates, I remember sitting there going, boy, the words coming out of Obama's mouth are very conservative. He was not way to the left or way to the right. He was just saying things that made sense to conservatives and Republicans. And then once he got elected, just like all politicians, he went back to his side.
Yep.
And I'd never had anything against Obama other than he was, in my opinion, a crap president. But Bush was a crap president. Clinton was a crappy president.
Yes.
Reagan, the greatest president ever, gave us amnesty of 14 million.
Yeah.
So they've all done crap that was just not what they said they were going to do. So I'm not picking parties. I think both parties are what do they say? Different wings on the same bird of prey.
One of our founders, George Washington, he was, in fact, I believe all of the founders were against the two-party system. And here's the thing. I'm going to get myself in trouble here, brother.
That's okay.
That's why I'm a crazy guy. But here's the thing.
We got that out.
I don't necessarily hardcore extreme views and politics don't match. Okay. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're an independent. I'm going to look at your voting record. I'm going to look at what you stand for, and then I'm going to support you based on how your views match my views. Okay. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican or an independent, because there's a lot of Republicans out there that are real, pardon the pun, flakes.
Yeah.
But I don't care if you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat. I don't look at the R or the D. It doesn't matter, and it shouldn't matter. What matters is that if you're adhering to the principles and the confines of the Constitution of the United States of America,
Right. Then you
That's what
elect the
matters.
people. And, that's what was so great about the Electoral College is you could have 5 or 6 parties. You actually had a Super Bowl with 8 teams on the field.
Yeah.
And the Electoral College and its magic and beauty could pick one president that was elected constitutionally, and it worked. So Washington, what he ran against the Whigs, the Federalists, Republican, Democrat, whatever they all called themselves. I think there were 6 or 7 people on that ticket.
Right.
And so how did we become this two-party system to where it's like the lesser of two evils?
The Electoral College was the complete genius of our form of government.
Right.
That is the genius of our government. Because if you take away the Electoral College, you will never, ever, ever see any other individual other than what California and New York want you to see.
Right. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, because they have the population. That's why democracies don't work, because California and New York could say these flyover states are irrelevant because they don't have the population. And so we're going to nationalize all the farms.
Yep.
And that's it. It's the end of story. Your property is now theirs because of mob rule.
Yeah, we can't let them take that away from us, and we cannot let them implement the Green New Deal, because then that nullifies our current Bill of Rights and the Constitution.
Yeah.
And we can't have that, man.
Well, it's like we were talking about, I think I was talking with you about it because I ramble so much, I'd never know who I'm talking to anymore. I'm trying to work on that. But, if California actually wanted to secede from the Union, and you really think about it legally, then what they're doing is they're tearing up their marriage contract with the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
But because that land was deeded to them by we the people, the other 49 states, as a territory, then their territory, their whole state reverts back to a territory. There's no more enabling act. And so therefore they don't have a flag, they don't have a state constitution, they don't have state representatives, they don't have state judges. They are now a territory. And so that's why they always said you can't secede from the Union. You can do whatever you want, but you're no longer a state. You're now part of a territory that's 5 states could sit there and go, well, we want the northern half and we're going to do this. And it's like, okay, they write a new enabling act. And so California goes away. And it's the same thing with, the Electoral College and the Green Deal. The minute they tear up our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, there is no American compact anymore.
Right.
So therefore, there is no U.S. government. There's no federal government. There's just a bunch of people that think they have power. And I think that would be a trigger point to where people would just go, that's it, I'm done. And I think then it would be wholesale slaughter of people we don't agree with. And doesn't mean they're not going to be shooting back at us because they disagree with us. But let's face facts. Patriots are definitely well armed and well trained.
Oh, absolutely.
These Antifa people, they can talk a good talk on social media, but if everything collapsed and social media collapsed and the internet collapsed because there's nothing holding that infrastructure together, I don't want to ever see that in America. But I see it as the only thing that's the logical path we're on. Unfortunately.
Well, here's the thing. And I agree with you. I want to start off by saying that I wholeheartedly agree with you. The difference between you and I and the snowflakes is that you and I are willing to die for our cause.
Right.
Okay. But on the same term, don't underestimate the group of the Antifa.
No, they are getting armed and trained, and
do not underestimate them, because a lot of them, mamsy-pamsy as they are, there's a core group of them that are die hard and are probably also willing to die for their cause.
Right. And I think even some of the fringe groups, like Black Lives Matter, they have an opinion, but they even understand that if America collapses, then all the work that Martin Luther King done and what they have been doing falls apart. And it's because of Antifa or socialism. And so I think even they would come around and go, well, if I have to pick a side, I'm going to go with the side that has really helped my people through generations. Might not have agreed with all the policies, but these people have wholesale killed people for generations, you know.
I just chuckled a little bit because I thought of the other day when I went into Walmart, and I'm wearing my shirt that I pressed out, and it's got the 2 cross guns, and it said, "My guns are lubricated with the tears of liberals." And then I got my MAGA hat on, and this dude is staring me down. And the only thing that came to my mind was, Clint Eastwood, "Go ahead, punk, make my day."
Right.
Of course, he didn't do it. And because guys like me, they won't. They'll pick on the innocent people that won't fight back.
Well, yeah, if you watch any of the news clips or on Facebook, they're in areas to where they're protected.
Yeah.
More so by the media. The police aren't going to do anything, and everyone's going to turn a blind eye and walk away. But you don't notice that happening in towns like Sierra Vista or, any of the flyover states. You do that in some of the smaller rural towns, and you're going to get your behind thumped.
The other thing that came to my mind after Clint Eastwood was, that meme that you see out there all the time from Tombstone with Doc Holliday, and he's got both his guns sitting there, and he's got his hands out, and he's like, "Say when."
Right. Yeah. It's like, it's okay. I got, when they accused him of being drunk, and he's like, "That's okay. I got one gun for each of you," because he's seeing double. It's like,
yeah.
Well,
those guys, that a lot of people don't realize how real that actually was. I mean, what happened here in Tombstone, in Cochise County, Wyatt Earp, man, he lost it when they killed when they killed the other Earp. That was it, man. They started finding bodies all over Cochise County.
Right. And the law enforcement, the corrupt ones wanted to catch him, but he ended up in court and jury nullification kicked in, and they're like, "Yeah, he probably killed them all, not guilty," because eventually someone had to take a stand, and the courts weren't corrupt. The media wasn't corrupt. I mean, the media still hated Wyatt Earp, because he was. Sure. But the reality was the people were still behind him and what had to be done. And my favorite movie next to that one is Open Range with Robert Duvall and Kevin Costner. And it's the same kind of thing where this town is just abusing all the people. And they finally end up getting into a big gunfight with the sheriff and all that. And then the people are helping the 2 cowboys fight the sheriff because they're like, this can't stand anymore.
I liked Quigley Down Under too.
That was good. I love a good Western. I mean, maybe it's the attitude, but
So how are we gonna tie it all back together today?
I think we need to just keep hammering on the fact that Trump is trying to at least fix the border problem. If you don't agree with it, then submit your own plan, Democrats. And Republican rhinos. It's like, but this has been going on, for 50 years. Me being from Tucson, I've seen this destroy my industry. I have nothing against people wanting to come here and work. Just do it legally so I can compete with you. And so something has to be done, and I think Trump's idea is a good idea,
Yeah. Well, something definitely has to be done. They keep saying, "Oh, it's coming through the ports and all that." But let me tell you something, man. And it's not just coming through the ports. I had, Daniel Webster on the Conservative Underground talk show, and we talked extensively about that. I'm not going to get back into that whole game that we talked about. But if you can go over and listen to that podcast if you want. But the whole thing is, look, man, we live here. We see it. We deal with it. And there is definitely a problem. And by turning a blind eye to it, you're not solving the issue. You're just kicking the can down the road.
Right. And we know how politicians hate it when you pick up the can and try to fix it. Like, dude, what are you doing? You're interrupting our game. And that's what it is, a game.
It is.
They take a crisis, and there just got to be a lot of money in it, and that's why they don't want to fix it. And it hurts us, the taxpayer, because we're the ones flipping the bill. We've run up to the last 3 or 4 or last minute, and I hope we wrapped it up good.
Yeah.
Go ahead and throw in your final thoughts.
My final thoughts is this. We are, a nation. Our founding fathers, I believe, were God-fearing individuals. They were genius. They knew what they were doing. They created a system that now that has been such a beautiful system, and every other country in the world is envied since I can remember. And now they want to try to change that. In fact, Barack Obama says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we live in the greatest country in the world. Please join me as we change that."
Right, and I don't want it changed. And I'm with you. It's our country, it's our problem, and the solution has to come from we the people. And if we have to stand up and get bloody, unfortunately, we may have to. But we're going to have to reinitiate militias and start protecting our borders, just like we protect our homes, because Trump can't bear it all. So.
Nope. So listen, I think we're pretty much out of time, aren't we, Mark?
We are. Yeah, I'm gonna let you make it all fit.
Well, here's the deal. We do want to thank you for tuning in, and if you're listening to us on KYAH 540 AM in Utah's Talk Authority, we thank you for jumping on board. And for the rest of you out there, wherever you're listening to this, just remember, go over, check out the Jeffers Brief, check out ContraRadioNetwork.com, and log on to www.getthet.com. Hey, until next time, this is Mark and Don saying check you later.
Adios.